I got into racing through my dad. He was a professional surfer and shaped surfboards, and when I was around 4, he had gotten a dirt bike. He had always, I guess, watched it and been into it and rode when he was younger, so he took me to the track and let me ride on the gas tank, and I fell in love. It's kind of crazy. As a child, you lose memory, I guess, or you kind of forget when you were young. I don't remember a lot of things, but it's weird. I feel like I remember a lot of my dirt bike memories, if you will. Like, I actually remember the first time my dad put me on his big bike to let me ride on the gas tank. I remember my first race. I remember my first Loretta Lynn's championship, and even I also raced the Junior Challenge in Atlanta as a 6-year-old. So there's a lot of random racing memories that I remember. It was actually kind of a family thing when we got into it. He had actually gotten a bike for my mom for her to take me riding. And so it was pretty cool. Like, when I was 4 to 6, my dad rode, I rode, and my mom rode. I grew up actually pretty normal childhood. We did a lot of amateur racing and weekend racing, but I went to public school and honestly played a lot other sports more than I rode for a long time. When I was younger, I really wanted to actually be a pro surfer, and so I'd spend a lot of time surfing. I would only ride my dirt bike maybe once a week. My mom was a PE teacher, and I grew up playing really all different sports, to stick and ball to surfing and skating. And I think for me, dirt biking was something that none of my friends did, and it was pretty small in my area. So it was like a thing for me that I could excel at my own rate and kind of my own way. So I think that was what was appealing, and it was difficult. I found it a lot harder than some of the other sports I played. It was just such an all-new sport and an all-new feeling. So I think that's what kind of kept me coming back for more. I first realized I could make a profession out of this honestly pretty late in my amateur career. I was 15 or so. I don't think it really hit me until I got my first contract offer from Bobby Reagan, and that was when I was 15, about to be 16, and I think it hit where I remember taking a final exam in school on Friday and then flying to California that Saturday, and I think that's when it really hit, like, man, this is, you're about to be pro, and this is the start of it. I guess I've always been drawn to like a underdog story. Growing up with my dad being a shaper and us living on the beach, I surfed a lot, and my first hero, I say, would be Kelly Slater. He was from the East Coast, and I just remember the East Coast surf was always crappy and the waves were never good, and nobody thought Kelly at the time would be anything special, and the greatest surfer ever now is pretty cool, and it's almost like that underdog story. I can relate to that a little bit. My dad was just telling me how it was kind of like how I grew up. For me, it's kind of been a up and down ride, and getting into the pros was a tough thing, and then having success early, and then having some misfortune and unfortunate years. It took 3 years to win my first ever main event on a 450, which, in the 250s I had a lot of success, so you expect that out of yourself, and I shouldn't say get used to it, but it's a feeling that was happening a lot in the 250s, and then, it was a long time. I made the switch to KTM, and in 2019, really my goal was to win a race. It happened at round 3. In the Triple Crown, I won 2 out of the 3 races that night and won the overall. So, it was just a super cool feeling to kind of prove to myself again that, hey, you're able to win and do good on this bike, and ultimately clawing your way back to me winning a championship. It's a cool story, but like I said, it's kind of like that underdog Cinderella story, I guess.